welcome to today's 5-minute life hack. Today I'm going to start with a question. How would you describe being a hero? What does a hero mean? I'm going to tell you about one of my heroes today that I learned about 10 years ago. So the reason I learned about this gentleman named Russell Redenbach is because he went to the University of Utah. So shameless plug for my school, go Utes. But just had an incredible story I heard about a long time ago. It's been published in this book called Shift the Narrative, A Blind Man's Vision for Rewriting the Stories That Limit Us. Phenomenal. Anyway, grew up pretty normal lifestyle life. At the age of 16, there was an accident in his garage and he lost his sight and many of his fingers. And so obviously his whole life changed completely when he was 16. 6-7 years later, he was graduating from the University of Utah, magna cum laude. A couple years later, he went on to get his MBA from Wharton, which is one of the best business schools in the country. He started and grew a $6 billion investment firm. He won, you can't really see it on your screens, but he won 3 jiu-jitsu world championships. He was an Olympic torchbearer for the Salt Lake City Olympics, served in many government capacities, many other things. But what an incredible, productive life that could have been very different if at the age of 16, I'm sure he had some really great people around him, guiding him, coaching him, mentoring him. But he easily could have stopped at the age of 16 and said, "Oh, I really can't do much from here on out." And he chose to go the other way. And I think that's extremely heroic, to not see his limitations and to just continue to push and to see what he could do and what he could accomplish. Some of you know that I've talked to privately, but I've spent most of the last 6 to 9 months reading biographies of great men and women and individuals. And here are a couple of my takeaways. It was really nice to kind of decompress off of other things and just focus on the lives of amazing people. Takeaways: every single person has to overcome, and I wrote, huge difficulties. Everyone has difficulties. No matter what you think, or no matter what you've seen or what you could tell from the outside, everyone has some difficulties. Whether it's the Wright brothers trying to invent flying and figure out how that even works, traveling 4 or 5 states away, trying to get wind conditions right, inventing geometry and math and things as they go because it just didn't exist. Building the Panama Canal from one end to the other of a continent, all the engineering problems and issues and things that came up like that. People who overcame abusive parents or loved ones. Overcoming hunger, starvation, things like that. Everyone overcomes something, and so it's really interesting. It kind of gives me a little bit of a better perspective as I read about others and their difficulties, and maybe gives me some strength or ability to overcome some of my challenges as well. Life comes in peaks and valleys, so the theme of that is just make the next right choice. You know, sometimes we're in tough circumstances, all sorts of things. If you just make the next right choice, eventually things usually turn out pretty well. Not always, but it's a good, wise rule of thumb that Frozen 2 taught us well. So another one is longevity wins. So Laura Wilder wrote Little House on the Prairie when she was 65. Pretty incredible as an author to have your first real hit when you're 65. That's pretty amazing. Benjamin Franklin obviously inventing the light bulb, thousands of attempts, and finally got it right. Morgan Freeman, one of my favorite actors, didn't even have much of a career until after the age of 50 when he started in Driving Miss Daisy, and now he's in about every single movie there is. But just one of the greatest actors of all time. And frankly, if you asked him at 49, I think he'd probably say, "Yeah, my career's pretty much a failure. I've not done anything of note." Anyway, fascinating. So sometimes longevity wins, and you just need to keep hanging on. Warren Buffett, I can't remember how much he's worth, a massive amount of money. 96% of his wealth came after the age of 65. That's pretty phenomenal. And he worked to the age of 94. So he basically worked 2.5 careers. So longevity wins. So focusing back on that, for us individually, how do we think about some of these things? Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. So for you personally, where do you focus? Do you focus on your weaknesses, or do you focus on your strengths and grow those and use those to propel you forward? So I wrote some here. Weaknesses, maybe a slow reader, maybe skinny, maybe balding, maybe born in a small town. This is not speaking of anyone specifically or individually. Strength might be you have a lot of people who care about you. You have a phenomenal work ethic. You love learning. There's multiple things you could probably write down about your strengths and your weaknesses. And as we listen to that little voice in our head, are we more focused on our weaknesses or more focused on our strengths? So if you're not sure, here's the challenge for today. Get a piece of paper, write down your weaknesses. It's okay. Acknowledge them, own them. That's all right. And then write down all your strengths. And just as importantly, own those as well. Deeply feel how great those strengths are that you have and find ways to continue to magnify those. I think that's probably a pretty good exercise for each of us to do. So anyway, hope you all have a fantastic day. Wish you the best. Go make an impact. Thanks.